and Periscope as well. So certainly hoping that you can join us. So hey all, again, my name is Mark Buzan. I'm a former two-time executive director and president of 2 national associations. I'm a former board director myself, proud father of a little 5-year-old named Simon, founder as well of the Society of NonProfit Board Directors and owner of our Executive Director Association Management Services, where in the work that I've done, I've had the benefit, if you will, and the pleasure of having spoken with literally hundreds of board directors from all over, of non-for-profits, associations, charities, you name it. Now today I'm live streaming here from our co-working space, a little meeting space here in wonderful, beautiful Gatineau, Quebec, in the National Capital Region of Canada, just outside of Ottawa. And I want to talk to you about the 5 biggest challenges nonprofit boards are facing today in succession planning for their chief staff officer. And I use chief staff officer to cover off all the titles: executive director, president, general manager, whatever you name it. It's the lead person that the board hires. Because I've found that really at the heart of it, if there's really only one thing that a board can't get wrong at all, it's how they prepare for an eventual departure of their CEO. And that's going to happen at some point or another. So how many of you would like to learn more about the roadblocks to nonprofit succession planning and what role a strong board, nonprofit board, can play in leadership planning and making this a better workplace? Heart me if you see this as well. Like it if you feel if it's still a little early in the morning for you, that's fine. But I want to make make a point for here. I want to just check to make certain that we're going to connect as well. If you leave a comments down below in there as well. Hopefully this is our new platform that we're using is through Restream.io, and let me know if it worked and if you like the experience. Okay, so now to you'll be helping me a lot, just as why I was saying about hearting is that I understand, at least through Facebook's, LinkedIn's, etc. Algorithms, if you heart it, they give it more credence, more credibility, and the message gets out. So you'd really be helping us a lot, be helping the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors a lot if you heart it as well. If you share it, I'll give you my notes today. Just let me know in the comments as well that that you're looking for it and you like and you hearted it as well. So get back on our topic. I'm reminded of something that a gentleman that's coached me and has mentored me, Chad Thibodeau, who's had a fair amount of experience in the nonprofit world, as well, said that sometimes to get it, you got to go through it. And for today, that means that we're going to go through the top things as well. You need to get an understanding of it when it comes to succession planning. What I mean by succession planning, it's you as a board have to think about how you're going to operationalize things in the future, and often that's with the appropriate way of how you're going to hire your executive director and/or planning out your long-term operational plans and how they're going to be resourced. And for those not aware, with the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors, we're a new and burgeoning not-for-profit association, virtual association of people who serve on the boards of nonprofits and associations. We're going to be holding our coming relaunch roundtable discussion, if you will, where 2 of our guests are invited. Conspicuous guests will be Bill Hudson of Heidrick & Struggles, their Washington, D.C. office. Now, if you don't know, Heidrick & Struggles is probably one of the most influential and biggest executive recruitment firms. They place tons of CEOs in a variety of not-for-profits and associations throughout the United States, and they also have a Canadian presence as well. I'm not mistaken. We'll have to get that clarified from Bill, but I think they have some international presence as well. And I'll be joined as well on the panel by Don Tebby. Now, Don Tebby has got he's an author on the whole subject of succession planning and what that means for not-for-profits and not-for-profits boards as well. So first, Don Tebby is going to be speaking about how very much about how you have to steer clear of what he calls the 2 risky mindsets that non-for-profits boards face. There seem to be 2 mindsets that behind this lack of attention to leadership succession, there's a denial mindset, as he calls, and the replacement mindset. Second, Don's going to get into chatting a little bit about how your board can be you make your organization can be ready. The succession policy spells out very much how the board will handle short and long-term unexpected departures. These things happens. Maternity leaves. Somebody decides that they want to make a change in life. They want to retire, whatever that may be. And it sets out as very much the backup plan that if there's to make sure that there's cross-trained individuals ready to go in the organization, often referred to as succession essentials. So Don's going to be talking a lot about this. You want to make certain that you get ready for this and mark June 14th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time off in your calendar. And I'll talk a little bit more about this roundtable in a moment there. To get more into this, Don as well is going to describe the 9 steps involved to ensure that your nonprofit board is ready. The third one, this will be really an area where our friend Bill Hudson of Hydrokin Struggles will be picking up. He'll be picking up on as I mentioned, one of the largest exec recruitive firms, very present in Washington, D.C. study, who authored a whole study on the whole aspect of the challenges that boards face. It's a fascinating study. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but one of the things that was really piqued my curiosity in that when I reached out to him, before I reached out and saw the study, I was reading this. It states that almost a third, did you know that? Almost a third of nonprofit board directors identified hiring, firing, or succession planning for their CEO as one of the most difficult decisions of their entire tenure. Now, some boards are not future-oriented. I can attest to that, and frankly, it's one of the major reasons why we set out to create the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors, to change that leadership mentality. But they often work to avoid being blindsided. So they're always so risk adverse, and too risk adverse in a sense. And we were surprised really that only 2/3 of the respondents really agree that their board focuses on the future state of the organization, where it should be in 5 years' time, which is an essential part of the succession planning as well. And throughout the years, in the last number of years we've detected, and I think Bill has detected as well, signs that organizations, leaderships, and boards of directors are working to broaden their view. That's at least a positive sign. In fact, as I mentioned, only 1/3 of the 500 board members they interviewed felt they were forward-thinking. 1/3. So that's a critical thing. Fourth, we're going to be talking about something really important. This is across all boards these days. After interviewing executive recruiters, in my opinion, it's becoming clearer and clearer that what we're in right now is a candidate market and not an employer market. Gone are the days really where in boards, all organizations, companies could just put up a job posting and then flick through whatever resume that looked great. Candidates are going to be picky. And I think it's going to be even more the case, too, as you're looking at the executive level individuals. They're looking for something really that's going to stand out. So as a result, boards also have to be prepared that they have a dynamic opportunity. I'm really looking forward to asking Bill's opinion on that perspective as well and what he's saying out there. Fifth and final, if your organization is smaller or not even really at the point of replacing its CEO, and they've been at the helm, for some time, or maybe even let's say you don't have much staff, you have a really engaged volunteer base. Let me ask you something, okay? If you're wondering whether or not this is really important or this doesn't really apply to you, how long do you think that that's going to keep going on? Really? Is your intention to cryogenically freeze your executive director who's been there for 20, 25 years? Eventually, they're going to want to go off and do something, and kudos to them for doing that. I'm seeing, unfortunately, as well, a rather disturbing trend of boards wearing 2 hats. That of a board director and that of getting mixed up in the operations. Let me tell you something, or sometimes even worse, they say, well, you know what, we'll just replace Bill with Bob, who's been on the board for whoever. Stop. Okay? Stop. You are walking on the razor's edge. All right? So make certain. Thanks, Lisa. You're going out. That's really great. Thank you for your comment. I really appreciate this. I'm having one of your what the hell moments as well. So you need to have plans in place for an interim executive director, and maybe even consider an association management company. So if I've piqued your curiosity even just a little bit, you need to know that this is the kind of subject that we take up regularly at the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors. So on June 14th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, mark it off on your calendar, all right? We'll be having our kickoff re-inauguration of the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors there. We'll be taking on subjects from a board director's perspective of succession planning, picking the right candidates, writing the right job description, and most importantly, how to set them off and set them up for success. Because that is also something I want to talk about, probably as well to Dawn as well. And I'm sure you're going to be really curious to this, of how many times I've seen this boards, they set this off wrong. They set their poor executive director up for failure. You need to know this, and heart me if you think you're right on this. This is going to be only, of course, for society members, and you can get in right now for a 31-day free trial. And you can do that right now by going over to nonprofitboarddirectors.org. Find out a little bit more about it. Go through the process. It's a 3-step process. Go onto the main page. Go on to pick on the issue that concerns you most, and there's a little quick video to explain that. Fill in the form. Look, try it out. It's 31 days free. If you don't like it, all right. Look, first of all, you can cancel at any point in time. Just let me know. I don't care if it's at the 11th hour on the 31st day. Screw it. Go ahead, cancel. It's fine. But you owe it to yourself, frankly, to be on the list, and you can do that by being a member of the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors at nonprofitboarddirectors.org. I look forward to seeing you, and heart me again if you see this, if you're in the recording. Thanks.